All right, so I'm going to introduce depreciation, the various depreciation methods first, and we'll start with exercise number 9 on page 40. So, all right, on this one, Lightning Delivery purchased a new delivery truck for I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. That's the next one I'm going to do. Exercise number 2 is where I'm going to start on page 39. So, exercise number 2 on page 39. Because that second one was a partial. So I'll do that next. Was buying it mid-year. So on this one, Sorter Company purchased equipment for $200,000 on January the 2nd, 2013. The equipment has an estimated service life of 8 years with a residual value of $20,000. So compute the depreciation under straight line, sum of the year's digits, and double declining. So we have a cost of $200,000 with a residual value of 20. So subtract the 20,000 and you get 180,000 as your depreciable base. So for straight line purposes, you just simply divide that by the 8 years of useful life, and you get 22,500 as your depreciation expense. And that'll be the depreciation expense first year, second year, every year, all the way through the 8 years. All right? Sum of the year's digits. The formula for sum of the year's digits is n times n plus 1 divided by 2. So for this one, it's 8 times 9, which is 72, divided by 2, or 36. That's the denominator. The numerator is going to be how many years are left in the useful life of the asset. So in the first year, which is 2013, you have 8 years left. 8/36 times the depreciable base of 180,000 equals $40,000. Questions on that one? And then in 2014, you would take 7/36, and then 6/36, and 5/36, and so forth and so on until you fully depreciated the asset.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed where you got the 9 from.
The 9. N plus 1. So N is the number of years in the useful life, so that's 8. 8 times 9. Yeah. And then divide it by 2. Yes?
For the rest, do you multiply them all by 180,000, or do you take away how much you depreciated the first year for the next year?
For sum of the year's digits, straight line, and units of production, which we're not doing in this particular case, you all use the depreciable base.
Okay.
The difference is double declining balance, which is what I'm going to do next. For that, you use book value. That's the only one that is not using this $180,000. Okay?
So I don't understand why you have to
That's just a formula. Do it the simple way. What's the sum of the year's digits for a 3-year property? 1 plus 2 plus 3. It's 6, right? 3 times 4 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. It's just the formula to get you there. So you don't have to do that, adding it all up. 5-year property is 5 times 6, which is 30, divided by 2, 15. So 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15. So it's just a way of getting to the denominator without having to sit there in your calculator and start adding a bunch of numbers together. Okay? Questions on that one? Double declining balance is the one that's different. For this, you're going to start with beginning book value. Well, you can do years. Beginning book value. And then a rate. And then depreciation. And that's going to give you ending book value. So we have, starting in 2013, and this particular problem is only asking us for the first year, but I'm going to go ahead and do the 8 years to show you how this whole thing works. So I'll probably need some help with a calculator here in a second. So we have an 8-year property, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 19, and 20. That's the 8 years of this asset. So what's the book value at the beginning of 2013? The whole $200,000, because book value is the original cost minus accumulated depreciation. We have 0 accumulated depreciation in the first year of the acquisition. The rate is double the straight line rate. So what's the straight line rate on an 8-year property? It's 100% divided by the useful life. 12.5. 100% divided by 8 is 12.5%. Double it is 25%. That's going to be the rate you're going to use each and every year. So 25% of $200,000 is $40,000. That leaves you with $160,000. I'm sorry, $50,000. That leaves you with $150,000, which is all the problem this one is asking, but I'm going to go ahead and take it to its conclusion here. So $150,000 is the beginning book value for 2014. Take 25% of that, $37,500. Leaving you $112,500. That's when I need my calculator, because I can't do the math in my head from here. All right. So that's 112,500 times 25% is 28,125. That leaves you $84,375. That's going to be your book value at the beginning of 2016. 25% of that is $21,093.75. Now we have $63,281.25. $63,281.25 times 25% is $15,820.31. Which leaves us $47,460.94. Times 25% is 11,865. God bless you. 24. Now we're down to 35,595.70. 35,995.70 times 0.25, and we get 8,998.93. Now we get 26,996.77. Now, if we multiplied that by 25%, we would get $6,749.19. But what would be the problem? What is the book value at the end of the 8 years? How much? It's on the board. What would be the book value when you're finished depreciating this? The $20,000. So if you took $6,749 from this book value at the end of 2019, it'll drive it below the $20,000. So the only thing you take in the last year is what's necessary, $6,996.77, to bring it down to the $20,000. And sometimes, and I'll do some more complex problems using Excel on Thursday, and you'll see that at that point, it could happen, depending upon how much the salvage value is and what the rate is, it could happen early. It could happen very early. Doesn't matter if it happens in year 5 or year 6 or year 7 or in this case year 8. Whenever it gets to the point where multiplying it by the rate will drive it below the salvage value, the residual value, you stop and just take what's necessary to bring it down. And then at that point, there's no more depreciation on that asset. So it's a little bit of a different twist to double declining. Okay? Yes. I'm hoping you do, because I see a lot of furrowed brows out there. Yes. 100% divided by the useful life. Okay? That's the straight line rate expressed as a percentage. Okay? What we did over here, and that's 12.5%. Okay? So 12.5% of 180,000 is this 22,500. All right? Double that, 25.
So no matter what, once you get to that 8th year, you take
Well, whichever year,
if you take 25% at 26, isn't it?
it's going to be more. It's
6,700.
700, yeah, which would bring this down below 20,000. Oh, it wouldn't bring it enough. Good point. 6,700. It's not enough. So it would leave it above the 20,000. Yeah, that's a very good point. I didn't notice that.
So it can't go above or below.
Yeah, it needs to be exactly, because that's your residual value. That's what you expected to scrap it for.
So no matter if it goes under or below, it has to be at 20,000.
Yes, because in every other case, that's what you're going to wind up with. Under some of these digits and under straight line, at the end of year 8, you're going to wind up with a book value of 20,000. But you did it in both of these by taking the 20,000 out in advance.
You already know what it's going to
Yeah, you know what it is. Yeah, exactly. Okay? We good on that? All right. So this is if you had the highly unlikely event of buying the asset on the very first day of the year. So what do you do if you don't buy the asset on the first day of the year? Well, you have options. Problem number 9 on 40. Exercise number 9 on page 40. On this one, Lightning Delivery purchased a new truck for $45,000. So the original cost is $45,000. They purchased it on April the 1st, 2013. The truck is expected to have a service life of 10 years or 120,000 miles with a residual value of $3,000. So we have a $3,000 residual value giving us a $42,000 depreciable base. It's a 10-year useful life, which would be, had you have bought it on January the 1st, it would have given you $4,200 in depreciation during the first year, 2013. But that's not what you did. You bought it on April the 1st. So how many months, if we're going to depreciate this to the closest month? We'll talk about the 4 options for depreciating in the next problem. So the closest month, which is April, because you're buying it on April Fool's Day. So how many months in 2013 did you own this truck? 9. So times 9/12. Depreciation for the first year is the $3,150. That's your 2013 depreciation. Your 2014 is the full $4,200. God bless you. Got another one coming? You look like you got another one. So that's straight line. What about some of the year's digits? Well, it's a 10-year property, so 10 times 11 is 110, divided by 2 is 55. Back to the depreciable base. So if you had bought this on January 1, you would have taken the 42,000, multiplied it by 10 55ths, which would have given you $7,636.36. The second full year would have been 9 55ths, which would have been $6,872.73. But that's not what you did. You bought it on April the 1st. So now you have to take these 2 full years and split them between 2013 and 2014. So for 2013, you're going to take 9/12, which is $5,727.27. Then for 2014, you're going to have the remaining 3/12 out of that first year, that's $7,636.36, which is $1,909.09. And then you need to split this one into 9/12. Well, that's all we need because we'll be done here at the end of 2014. So 9/12 of the 6,872.73 is 5,145.55. Add those two together, you get 64,450.7. 7,054. Well, I'm sorry, 64. 64. Does that make sense? No. I didn't expect it to. All right.
So the second one, you're only splitting out by 9/12?
Yes. See, what happens here is, look. Let's see. Here's your first year of owning that truck. All right? The first year started on April the 1st. So by the time you reached the end of 2013 calendar year, you had owned the truck 9/12 of the year. All right? Everybody got that so far? So that's of the first year's calculation under sum of the year's digits, which would have been a total of $7,636.36, which was 10/52 of 42,000, the depreciable base, you only are going to expense on 12/31/2013 $5,727.27. All right? So we have $5,727.27. For this, we still have the leftover remainder out of this $7,600 of $1,909.09. That goes into the first quarter of 2014. Then, when the truck reaches its 1-year anniversary, we start in depreciating the second full year under some of the year's digits. Yes, yes. Wait till we get to double declining, because you got to do the same thing over there. Yes. The good news is you're just going to key in to a computer system someday in your future the date in which you bought it, and it's going to do all this. Assuming that you use some of the year's digits or double declining, because that's the only two methods that are going to cause you this issue. Because the depreciation's not the same each 12-month period. Under straight line, it's always $4,200. So in the first year, 2013, you only had to take 9/12 of it. But this, you have to do period after period after period. And this, even in Excel, would be a simple little setup spanning the 2 years. You would calculate rows with the 12-month, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, on down to year 8. And then you would just off to the side split it between the calendar years. Simple. Add it up. Do it once, it'll be done. Okay? Units of production is a lot easier. Units of production, you're going to take the 42,000 divide it by the 120,000 miles that you expect to drive this truck during its useful life. Oh, my little battery fell down. It's kind of dangling there. That's going to give you a depreciable rate of 35 cents per mile. In 2013, it tells you in the problem that you drove for 10,000 miles. In 2014, you drove for 13,000 miles. Multiply that by the 35 cents, and you get 3,500 in depreciation for 13 and 4,505 for 14. So units of production takes care of itself with partial years, because you just won't have as many miles driven in the first shortened year of the first calendar.
And then since it's just based on miles, you just go until you reach 120,000. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how many years.
Right, exactly. All right? Now that I've done the simple one, let's get back to the complex.
Is this going to be on the final, like the half?
No. But it could be very easily on a CPA exam. This would be famous. This is a famous CPA question. They're always, I can probably guarantee you there will not be anything but a partial year question on the CPA exam. I can assure you of that, because they're just not going to do the easy way. I could confirm that with my wife, because she just got finished taking it. All right? So you do need to know how to do this. Plus, in real life, well, once again, you're going to enter in numbers into a computer. It's going to do all the calculations for you. But you need to know how to, because every once in a while, computers don't do the right thing. So if you don't know how to do it, then you don't know whether or not the computer is actually computing it correctly. And they do make mistakes, especially when you put in new systems. All right, so what's the beginning book value at the beginning of year one? $45,000. What is going to be the straight line rate on a 10-year property? Here's an easy one. Oh, dead silence. Well, 20% is what we're going to eventually get to, but how did we get there? 100 divided by 10 is 10%, double 20%. Okay? So 20% is going to be 9,000. Leaving you with 36,000. 20% of 36,000 is 7,200. That's the full year depreciation. 9/12 of this is going to go into 2013. Which is going to be, and I'll just put it over here, which is going to be 6,750. For 2014, you're going to have the remaining 3/12 of the 9,000, which is 2,250. And then you're going to have 9/12 of the 7,200, which is 5,400, giving you 7,650 for 2014. See, once you grasp the whole sum of the year's digits, this might be a little easier to understand. And I'll do a couple of partial year in more detail when I get to Thursday. Yes, ma'am.
Change the beginning book value for year 2, right?
It doesn't. You want to just do the book value based upon annual. It would, but that's not the way you calculate it. You're right. It would make just as much logical sense to take the 4,500, subtract the 6,750, and then multiply that by 20%. And that's not the way we do it. We do full year depreciation and then portion that for full year depreciation between the partial months that the truck was owned in the calendar year. Yeah. Because you'll get a much different answer if you did it that way. But that's not the way we do it. Because it's the same over here. There's no way of doing this one, because you got the 10/55ths for the first full year. So we just stay consistent at that point. Okay, does everybody understand that? Well, as best as you can, now that I've told you that it's not on the final. Uh-oh. Well, see that little thing? What is going on with this thing? There we go. Maybe now. Okay, come this way. Thank you. All right, let's do another partial period, but these are the 4 options that you have under U.S. GAAP. So exercise number 11 on the next page. On this one, Horan Company purchased equipment for $25,000. It has a 5-year estimated service life with 0 residual value. Assume straight line depreciation is used. So we're buying it on May 10th, 2013. So we have $25,000, 0 residual value, giving us a $25,000 depreciable base. We have a 5-year useful life, or $5,000 per year. The 4 options under U.S. GAAP for what they call depreciation conventions is closest day, closest month, closest year, or half-year convention. So those are the 4 options. If you take the 5,000, and this problem kept it simple, they used 12 30-day months for purposes of depreciation, rather than taking actual calendar, the 31, 30, 28-day for the 365. So just use a 360-day year for purposes, because it's not going to be material. So if you divide that by 360 days, you get a depreciation rate of $13.89 per day. So how many days did you own this vehicle or this piece of equipment? Well, from May 10th to the end of May is 20 days, because we're assuming every month has 30 days. So for May, you've got 20 days. Then how many months are there from the end of May or the beginning of June till the end of the year? 7. 7 times 30 is 210. So you want to multiply this by 230 days. And that's going to give you depreciation of $3,195. So far, so good? And this is the way your software is going to do it. It's going to do it by the day. Closest month. On the closest month convention, you're going to take anything purchased from the 1st to the 15th as a full month. Anything purchased from the 16th to the end of the month, you won't depreciate it until the subsequent month. So you won't take any depreciation because you're depreciating it to the closest month. This was bought on the 10th. So we're going to include May. So here, you're going to take the 5,000 and you're going to multiply it by 8/12. Because if you include May all the way to the end of the year, there's 8 months. All you're missing is the first month of the second quarter, April. So 8/12 of 5,000 is 3,333. So far, so good? Closest year. Anything you buy from January the 1st to June 30th, you take a whole year. Anything you buy from July 1 to December 31st, you take nothing. You round it to the closest year. This one was bought on May 10th. So you take the full $5,000. The last of the four options in U.S. GAAP. So if you go work internationally, there's not as many options. U.S. GAAP's got 35,000 pages of options. The International Financial Reporting Standards have got 3,500 pages of theories primarily. It just kind of tells you generally what to do. It's a half-year convention. On this one, it doesn't matter when you buy the asset. Doesn't matter if you buy at the beginning of January, May, September, December, the last day of the year. You take a half year's depreciation on every asset you buy. That's it. Those are the four options.
For the day, why is it 20 plus 2 10?
We're doing 30-day months, okay? So from April 10th to the end of May, assuming it only had 30 days, that's 20 days, okay? From the beginning of June to December is 7 months. 7 months times 30 is 210 days.
And where did you get the 230 days?
I added 20 plus 230. See, in reality, you can just type in the dates in Excel. You can type in May 10th, 2013, and 12/31/2013. Subtract those two cells, and it'll tell you exactly how many days you had it for the year 2013. And then, May, multiply it by really 21 days, because there's 21, there's 21 days in May. And then June times 30 days, and July and August times 31 days, and then September 30 days, so forth and so on. Right? Because it's every other month, right? No. They still teach that? 31 days, 30 days, or 28 days, 31, 30, 31, 30, and then 31, that's July, and then you hit that again, and that's August, because July and August both have 31 days. And then you go down in the little valley, and that's September, and now you got October, November, December, and you're done. It's a little. Do they not teach that in elementary school anymore? See how effective it was? They taught me that. Wow. 50 years ago, maybe? And I still remember it. Eventually, I just remembered that it was even and odd except for July and August, and then it screwed it up. Then it was odd and even the rest of the time. Because during the first 6 months of the year, it's the odd ones have 31 days. January and March and May. And then July. And then you got to flip them the other side, because then it becomes even. So I got more complicated as I got older. Okay? All right, let's do one more. Let's do a depletion problem, and we'll call it a day, and we'll finish this chapter up on Thursday. Let's do exercise number 18 on page 42. On this one, Feller Company purchased a site for a limestone quarry for $100,000 on January the 2nd, 2013. It is estimated that the quarry will yield 400,000 tons of limestone. It estimates that its retirement obligation has a fair value of $20,000, after which the land could be sold for $10,000. In 2013, 80,000 tons were quarried and 60,000 tons were sold. The cost of production excluding depletion, so in other words, the cost of extracting the limestone out of the quarry is estimated to be $4 per ton. So they want you to compute the depletion cost per ton, and then what is the total cost of inventory at 12/31/2013, and what was the cost of goods sold for the year ending 2013. So you have a cost of $100,000. You have a, they call it a recovery. Is that what they call it? Retirement. Thank you. With a current value of 20,000 and then residual is 10. So that's a depletable base of 110,000. We currently have an estimated reserves of 400,000 tons of limestone, which is going to give us a depletion rate of 27.5 cents per ton. Add to that the $4 of extraction cost per ton, and we get a total of $4.27.5. Ending inventory. We quarried 80,000 tons throughout the year, and we sold 60,000 of them. So we have 20,000 tons in ending inventory times the total $4.27.5 per ton, and that gives us 85,500 for ending inventory. Cost of goods sold, we sold 60,000, not 80,000. 60,000 tons were sold times the $4.27.5 total, and that gives us 256,500 as our cost of goods sold. And no, I don't give you a depletion for the final exam. That's way too easy.
You like it?
Yeah, we like easy. I know, but sometime I have to justify the assessment. Okay, any questions? That's it for today.
Which one is the homework problem?
That's a